Shadow Metang gonna fire off the Psyshock. Psyshock, my, clearly two shots Clodsire. With that in mind, sorry Annihilate, you're gonna be sacrificed. This is now the Shadow Metang show. Your time's been and gone. Back out comes the Alligator. Metang gonna fire off the next Psyshock. The opponent find himself between a rock and a hard place. They invest that Protect Shield on the Alligator, but Trainer, this one is simply signed, sealed, and delivered. Metang gonna invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the Hydro Cannon. One Psyshock will be moving for Alligator from the field of play. When Clodsire does return, poor old Clodsire very quickly about to meet the same fate. GG's and thanks for playing. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back at it, taking a look at yet another pair of buff Pokemon in Season 23's move update. I'll be honest, when I saw PvPoke's rankings, there was not a bigger non-believer in Shadow Metang than me. I thought 15th. You've got to be having a laugh. I've played this game since pre-season. That's like 5 or 6 years at this point of PvP, and it would not be the first time we've seen a Pokemon become what I like to call a sim hero, something that sims really well but in battle is pretty atrocious. However, seeing is believing, and I'll be honest, this Pokemon far exceeded my expectations. I think this is for a few reasons, to be honest. Firstly, I think its Psychic Steel typing is quite well placed in this meta. You're a Steel type that doesn't get absolutely clapped by fighting types. If anything, you're still favoured, due to having access to one of the best 40 energy moves in the game, and that is Psyshock. Psyshock is a Sludge Aqua Jet clone. We all know their moves are completely busted. This meta is currently full of Pokemon using Bug type quick moves, which makes a Psychic type incredibly difficult to use. However, once again, that Psychic Steel typing pairs together really nicely, meaning you're only taking neutral from Bug. You are weak to Dart, but once again, having access to Fury Cutter yourself, you're able to hit back for super effective. If you pair this together with a Pokemon with an over 2,000 stat product, Dan Ottawa always goes on about to be good in the Great League, yada yada yada, you want a bit of bulk, 2,000 is that stat product you're looking for, and Metang ticks that box too. That's not the only buff Pokemon we're featuring. We're also going to be taking a look at another Pokemon, my favourite quick move currently in the Great League, and that is Arbok Running Acid. Today's video, much like my last few uploads, is going to be a video of two halves. Firstly, we're going to be shoutcasting a team from MLG69 Dank Memes. I'm then going to run the team myself, so I'm giving my honest opinion. Post down below what you think of this new style of content. With that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, MLG finds himself off to a tough start. His Annihilate stares down Ariados. We say switch into Metang. Metang gonna fully wall this energy. The opponent go for the cross poison. That definitely is not the play. Metang has a list of resistances as long as your arm. Poison, double resisted. The opponent say switches into Grumpig. Of course, running Psywave is a quick move. That again, double resisted. You all notice that MLG is technically running this Pokemon single moved, as the second move he's got is Frustration. I actually did unlock the second move, so mine's running Gyro Ball, but what makes Metang actually not a sim hero is the fact you pretty much go straight Psyshock in most scenarios. Pokemon that are sim heroes are stuff like the old Moltres. When you had to Ancient Power bait into a Brave Bird, Metang doesn't have that issue whatsoever. We saw every last bit of Metang's stat product there as well, shrugging off that Dynamic Punch like it was nothing. The opponent sends out their final Pokemon, which is Milotic. The opponent throw the Surf. They send back out Ariados. Annihilate, gonna fire off the Rage Fist. This game already looks over. We haven't even shown them our third yet. The opponent tanks the first Rage Fist. Annihilate could counter farm down, but it looks like MLG gonna give Arbok some well-deserved screen time and essentially just acid farm down the remainder of the team. We actually send out Metang first, looking to force the energy. Arbok, much like Metang, gonna fully wall Ariados' moveset, unless they're on Shadow Sneak, but who the heck runs that? We acid farm down. Milotic re-enters the arena just to get acid farm down as well, and we're off to a 1-0 start. Heading into the next battle. Another tough lead and a safe switch into Metang. At this time, Metang is technically hard punished, or at least on paper. Let's see what Metang can do. Opponent sends out Scizor. As they're a Shadow, they opt to shield the Psyshock. Shadow Scizor users essentially shield everything. Opponent fire off the Night Slash. Metang holds strong, and able to reach the second Psyshock. Come on, train, let it go. How much does this do? Holy, quite a lot. Metang has gained us an advantage here in the mid-game matchup, but it was definitely our best Clodsire answer. Let's see how we play it. Annihilate hits the field of play, gonna invest Protect Shield, blocking up the Shadow Night Slash, and then counter farm down. Clodsire re-enters the arena. We're gonna farm to the Ice Punch and bait with the Rage Fist. This first move is always going unshielded, so I guess we could have snuck the Ice Punch through first, but MLG opts to throw the Rage Fist. MLG looks to call the bait. Earthquake almost removes us from the field of play. The opponent sends out Gliscopod, and here comes Arbok. We have actually banked the move as well. Arbok, or Cobra backwards if you prefer. Does resist the Fury Cutters. It's a mono poison type, but the Aqua Jet just did too much damage. Have we got a chance of winning this game? Let's see. I don't think so. We need a few things to go for us. We need to try and force the final Protect Shield off the opponent, which I don't think we're going to be able to do. MLG farms up, throws the Dark Pulse on the CMP type. So we need this to go shielded. Okay, step 1. Annihilate needs to survive a Poison Sting to reach the Ice Punch. Come on, Annihilate, you're a ghost. Ghost resist poison. Annihilate doesn't survive the Poison Sting. And that one ends in heartbreaking defeat. But valiant effort, heading into the next battle. See Charizard in the lead position, running Fire Spin. Legacy Ember got buffed. However, previously Fire Spin was actually the way to go after the Wing Attack nerf. The opponent farming up a boatload of energy. MLG going to invest to Protect Shield. The opponent falls in an overheat. Oh, I love the early ranks. That was definitely unnecessary. The opponent goes all in on Charizard. We pivot into Arbok. Arbok able to acid farm down and get a very nice running start. Our snake is poised and ready, and out comes Toxicroak. This one running Poison Jab. I've recently featured Poison Sting Toxicroak, and it's objectively better as this thing is so glassy, as you can tell by that resisted Sludge Wave almost one-shotting them. Poison Sting Toxicroaks are madness. 5 Poison Stings to a stab dynamic punch. So this opponent seems to be running 2 buff Pokemon, but just not on the right movesets. And there's buff Pokemon number 3. So if you're newer to the game, don't just look at Pokemon people feature. Make sure you're running the right moves. If you're wondering what the right moves are, head over to PV Poke, and that has the optimal movesets already plugged in for you. Heading into the next battle, what a lead. Annihilate stares down Scrafty. The opponent opting to stay in. Trainer, you can't be this weak to a fighter. Oh god, out comes Alolan Golem. I love this Pokemon, but Trainer, fighters are real. Not like this. Don't sacrifice my boy Alolan Golem to Annihilate. You've absolutely thrown this Pokemon to the wolves. The opponent recognise that. They concede the match, and we're heading into the next one. We see the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. We say switch into Arbok and bait out Fortress. We do resist the Bug Bites. They double resist our Acids. However, it looks like 2 Dark Pulses will actually be enough to knock out. We force the opponent's energy earlier. They throw the Rock Tomb, removing the Snake from the field of play. Can Annihilate fully counter farm down now? If we can, this will be a fantastic spot to be in. Annihilate hits the field of play. MLG not going to risk the farm down. Instead, go for that Rage Fist and look to start ramping up his damage. Speaking of ramping up damage, if this is a Flame Charged Talonflame, I think we're in trouble. MLG invest to Protect Shield, shielding up the fly, which is definitely better for us. MLG undeterred, gonna fire off the next Rage Fist, likely forcing a shield back. The opponent obliges, putting up that Protect Shield. The opponent looks for that Incinerate farm down, unable to get it. Annihilate holds strong, reaches the next Rage Fist. Rage Fist removes Talonflame from the field of play, and out comes Primate. This is a matchup in the one shield scenario where you'd certainly rather be Metang. We can tank the first Rage Fist. However, Trainer, the question now becomes, can you tank the first Psyshock? Look at these resisted Fury Cutters go. I don't even think I need to ask the question. The answer is certainly yes. MLG going to farm up to the double Psyshock. You know the drill. The first one will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. We'll either Annihilate into Moltres. We're actually going to say switch into Metang here. When we're single moved on Psyshock, I'm not sure if I agree with this play, but we're going to let MLG cook. I guess MLG's thought process is that we're double weak to ground in the back, so we're going to say switch into Metang and look to bait out any potential ground types. Out comes Shiny Fortress. MLG once again going to be spamming out as many Psyshocks as he physically can. Fortress is insanely bulky, but just 2 do put it below half health. A lot of Fortress don't even run Earthquake now, so we can potentially just no-shield this and commit to a full counter farm down. Moment of truth, what do they throw? This opponent ever horny for the debuff, throw the Rock Tomb, but that actually works out better for us, just feeding Annihilate more energy. MLG's actually played this really smart. He's ended up getting his Annihilate with a huge energy lead when it's realigned with Moltres. Ice Punch forced the Protect Shield, and we see the pivot into Arbok. The Acids are tearing through them. This Acid is a sick move, man. A Poison type Shadow Claw clone, the opponent getting absolutely chunked. They continue to stay in, reveal, and they might be weak in the back. MLG fires off a Dark Pulse, forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. MLG gonna invest his final Protect Shield. Is it a Charmer? Oh baby, out comes the Dene. The Dene straight in and straight out. Sludge Wave, have no doubt, picks up the one hit KO. We counter farm down Moltres and take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Warface in the lead position. I'm quite surprised he has not sent out Arbok here, as Arbok is favoured and of course doesn't fancy the Bastion matchup either. It looks like MLG actually might just ramp his way through this Primate. If it's their best Annihilate answer, Annihilate might actually solo this team. We're going to shield both Rage Fists, commit to the counter farm down, leave him boosted with residual energy good to go. Out comes Jumpluff, send it. Yes, we do send the Ice Punch. Does the opponent respect the damage? No, the boosted Ice Punch doesn't get the job done. We attempt to snipe with Metang, and this essentially sets up my worst nightmare. Metang into Bastiodon, we could be here a while. This is definitely a matchup you wish you had Gyro Ball for. Well, Gyro Ball is a pretty shit move, I'm being brutally honest. Does hit for neutral, and does do about 25% of Bastiodon's and never-ending HP. Whilst Flamethrower might be super effective, it does pitiful damage. Metang banks a bucket of energy, switch timers are misaligned, and we send out the Angry Ape. Surely we get knocked out here. Oh my gosh, Bastiodon, you are such a wet noodle. You can't even knock out a half health Annihilate. We throw the Rage Fist, the opponent invests the Protect Shield just to get counter farm down. The opponent praying that MLG had a heart attack. We all know he's alive and well. You sent me this battle submission, and this toxic opponent is going to take heartbreaking defeat. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we see a fantastic lead. Once again, the opponent completely core broken by Annihilate, but out comes Ferret. This is going to be one of them triple normal teams, although the opponent is running in a weird order. Most people lead Wigglytuff with two other normal types in the back, as of course Wigglytuff would be any potential fighter. If my team call is correct, which it is, I would have liked to see us bank this energy and just send out Metang. We're going to fire off the Ice Punch, then there is the pivot to Metang. The opponent continued to stay in, feeding us free energy. MLG takes the initiative, racing to that Psyshock. Psyshock forces the Protect Shield, and the opponent sends Diggersby back into the arena. Metang going to already be at the next Psyshock. This pacing is savage. 10 turns to a neutral move that does like 40% of Diggersby's HP is probably why Metang is now meta relevant. The opponent go for the Fire Punch bait, but let me tell you, trainer, that no bait will ever save your fate. The opponent going to fire off one further Fire Punch, removing us from the field of play. We've still got Annihilate around. Annihilate going to fire off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch will either force the final protection or the knockout. Opponent put all the hopes and dreams on the Marshmallow, but oh hello trainer, meet Arbok. The opponent says no thank you, I'm out of here, and we take that game. Wigglytuff apparently have a lot in common with London buses. You wait forever for one, and then two come along at the same time. Awful lead for us, but two very good fairy ants in the back. We say switch into Metang, force a Protect Shield before the opponent sends out Dugong. This isn't a bad spot to be in, to be honest, especially if we can call an Icy Wind bait or correctly shield up a Drill Run. Metang's lightning fast pacing has this opponent in all kinds of trouble. We're already at the next Psyshock, which goes unshielded, rocking Dugong into the red health range. Are we going to fight for switch? MLG thinks about it, looks to call the bait. Unfortunately, we get Drill Run, and down goes Metang. Out comes Annihilate. Annihilate looks for the counter farm down, unable to get it before we annoyingly get Icy Wind debuffed. Let's go Arbok, let's go Arbok. We send out Arbok, the opponent pivots out into Primate, and this is certainly an endgame that Arbok has a chance of sweeping. Usually, you don't want to shield the first Rage Fist, as subsequent ones after that will do more. We can just double shield and not take a single charge, and I think that's definitely the right play. We did go straight Dark Pulse, but of course that wasn't even a bait, as Dark Pulse would knock out from here. We're going to shield the next Rage Fist, we go straight for the next Dark Pulse, which will be lethal. Do we go for a catch here? I personally would try and catch back onto Annihilate. MLG stays in, taking his acid damage, saying no catch attempt needed. Can we reach the Ice Punch? And is Ice Punch going to be enough? It looks like it is. The counter damage chunking through the HP. Annihilate reaches the Ice Punch. Is a Wigglytuff counter confirmed? And we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Shiny Fortress in the lead position. The opponent says switch into Moltres. I imagine we're going to chip and dip. Fire off this Ice Punch, either land big damage or force a shield, and then send out Arbok. And we do exactly that. Arbok going to instantly put up that Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming fly, and look to return fire with that Dark Pulse as soon as possible. That actually looks like a CMP tie. Dark Pulse is resisted, but does secure the knockout. We've already seen when Fortress returns, but this Dark Pulse is no joke, doing a very solid chunk of damage. Potentially if the opponent try and bug bite farm us down, we might even reach 2. Is the opponent going to commit to that farm down? The opponent does commit. No! I thought we made it, we just miss out. That Dark Pulse very likely would have forced the final protection. The opponent wouldn't want to lose this energy. We send out Annihilate, look to call the bait. The opponent does throw the Rock Tomb. Annihilate left deep into the red health range. The opponent attempt to snipe with the Angry Alligator, and here comes Metang. Oh man, this endgame looks so tough to win. MLG going to invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the Hydro Cannon, return fire with the Psyshock. Not the best timing, but we was always getting outpaced, so I guess it's neither here nor there. I'm definitely in no position to comment on anyone's fast move timing using a one-turn move. I always avoid them like the plague, as I am atrocious with them. And I'm definitely going to be found out this season using other people's teams. There's no shot Annihilate cleans up right. Can we counter farm down before they bug bite farm us down? Unfortunately, we cannot. And that is going to wrap things up for MLG's battles. And you're now going to see me attempt to navigate his team. As always, when I run someone else's team, I instantly find out the world's biggest core breaker. Sableye, are you kidding me? This thing's going to sweep me, I think. I say switch into Metang, fire off the Gyro Ball. Oh man, as I didn't bait, I'm not even going to reach a Psyshock. Not the Psyshock would do much, it would be double resisted. I have got a shield advantage. Hopefully Annihilate's good against whatever's in the back. I send out Arbok. I'm going to tank the first move. Ouch. I guess now would be a good opportunity to invest my first Protect Shield. But we're never ever acid farming down a Ghost type. The opponent sends out Lantern. I'm going to bank a Sludge Wave in case I need it for later, and then send out Annihilate. As good a move as Acid is, unfortunately the Acid damage hasn't put this Lantern into a range where 6 counters and a Rage Fist remove them from the field of play. I'll be honest, this team is not going too well in battle number 1. But as always, we're going to stick to it and figure it out. I'm going to shield up the Surf because I need to shield something. Neither Pokemon's got hardly any HP, and I let counter farms down. Out comes a Razor Leaf Shadow Vic. Not like this trainer. I have a family. I get absolutely destroyed in battle number 1. Heading into battle number 2. This time we see a much better lead for me. This is definitely where the team wants to see the pancake. I'm double weak to ground in the back. We're going to tank the first Mud Bomb. We're going to go straight Rage Fist, as one Ice Punch won't be lethal, so I may as well ramp up my already oppressive counter damage. The opponent shields the first Rage Fist, which certainly isn't recommended. I can now match shields. I'm then going to throw 5 counters, throw my next Rage Fist on the CMP tie, and look to deny their energy and leave boosted. We fire off the next Rage Fist. The opponent actually goes all in on Stun Fist. I don't often 2-shield in the opening matchup. I know I can counter farm this down and chuck a boosted move at whatever comes out next. The opponent not wanting to concede a farm down, send out Clodsire. We're going to reach a double boosted Ice Punch, doing a massive chunk of damage, and I'm then going to send out Metang. I actually did check on PV Poke. We do survive an Earthquake, and the opponent is never ever double resisted Poison Sting farming me down. We tank the Earthquake. I'm going to over farm as much as I physically can and fire off the Psyshock, ensuring I've got residual energy good to go. Psyshock removes Clodsire from the field of play. And as I over farm, when Gliscopod enters the arena, we are going to reach one further Psyshock, doing a very solid amount of chip damage. We find ourselves in a shieldless game. Gliscopod has energy, a Stun Fisk, pretty much nothing more than a sacrificial swap. Annihilate finds itself in the same position. I send out Arbok, the opponent throw the Aqua Jet, the opponent then pivots out into the Pancake, we farm up, make the catch, back onto Annihilate. I'm fairly confident I win CMP, so I'm just going to farm up, throw the move on CMP, but we're actually able to get the resisted Acid farm down, leaving with the Sludge Wave, and Sludge Wave is going to be all she wrote. And we're able to get our first dub, heading into the next battle. We see another Shadow Claw user in the lead position. These things are so tough for this team. We are ABA weak to Ghost. However, at least Feraligatr isn't a Ghost type, meaning these counters do hit for neutral. I'm going to shield the Hydro Cannon, look to return fire with the Rage Fist, and look to cheese my way through this matchup. The opponent saves Gator, recognizing we've got something else that doesn't want to see it, and save switch into Togetic. Most Togetic run Psyshock, so this will hurt, but this opponent actually throw the Aerial Ace, so I guess that Aerial Ace Gleam. Aerial Ace and Psyshock are both 40 energy, so if they were on Psyshock, they definitely would have thrown it at a mono poison type. We're actually able to force our Protect Shield back as the opponent looks to keep their super positive alignment, and this definitely works for me. This now presents an opportunity for me to Fury Cutter down a Flying Fairy type, leaving with residual energy good to go. Despite them being deep in the red, these Fury Cutters are double resisted, and we get quite a nice energy lead here. This now makes it very difficult for Feraligatr to return. The opponent sends out Clodsire, and this is when I first realised Metang isn't a sim hero, it's actually legit. Psyshock, cleanly 2 shots, we're going to farm up, sacrifice Annihilate to the Pokegods. Annihilate, you've had your time to shine, buddy. This is now the Metang show. Earthquake picks up the one-hit KO, back out comes Gator, we overfarm, fire off the Psyshock. Psyshock forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. We've still got that shield to hide behind, we're going to shield up the incoming Hydro Cannon. One Psyshock will be removing the Angry Alligator from the field of play when Clodsire does return. Clodsire very quickly about to meet the same fate. We actually overfarm just because we can, and we're going to throw this Psyshock. And Metang cleans house. GG's, and thanks for playing. If you would have told me even 3 weeks ago that Metang would be sweeping an endgame with a Clodsire and Feraligatr, I'd have told you you're mad. Heading into the next battle. This time we see Sableye in the lead, and I'm looking to make an adjustment. Last time we pivoted out, and it went awfully for me. This goes better, as the opponent ends up playing to the CMP tile. They do not win. They could have reached the foul play on 5, but I guess they thought they had a higher attack, which they don't. I send out Metang, looking for the farm down. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down, send out Tentacle Trainer. I'm not sure that's the counter swap you are looking for. Psyshock comes very close to picking up the one-hit KO. This is almost certainly a Scald, but Scald is survivable, so we're not going to invest in protection. We do get that resisted. Fury Cutter farm down. Let's see if Sableye returns. Sableye does re-enter the arena. I'm actually going to send out Arbok here. I'm actually going to go for the one shield and resisted acid farm down. Recognise I'm going to get more energy together. The opponent sends out Victory Bell. Running Magical Leaf. I don't know why you run Magical Leaf still. I think acid is definitely the way to go. I know people don't like removing legacy moves, myself included. It pained me when I had to remove Eyeshadow of Lapras, but it's for the greater good. Metang looking to close the show. We're going to invest the Protect Shield. We just need to be mindful of the opponent trying to make the catch. No catch attempts made, so this Psyshock will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent then tries to sack Sableye unsuccessfully. We reach the next Psyshock, and Metang once again is going to close the show. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we need the Angry Ape into Fortress. A nice matchup for me. This opponent looks to stay in, so we're going to fire off the Rage Fist and look to start vamping up. The opponent makes such a nice play there, anticipating me throwing the Rage Fist as soon as I get it, and they're able to sneak a full Incinerate when they send out Talonflame. Very, very nice to bait this thing out though, so Metang no longer has to see it. We shield up the Flame Charge, throw 2 Acids and the Dark Pulse for optimal fast move timing, only giving the opponent 1 free turn. Down goes Talonflame and out comes the Pancake. Arbok able to reach the Dark Pulse on the CMP tie. Metang doesn't really have anywhere to go into this team whatsoever. Despite Metang being weak to ground, I'm actually going to send it out into the Pancake, because it's got a better matchup here than it does against Fortress. Metang hits the field of play. Mod Bomb is super effective, but Mod Bomb isn't going to threaten the knockout, and the opponent has never ever Thundershock farmed me down either. The opponent then pivots back out into Fortress. This isn't enough energy for an Earthquake. Potentially it's a Sand Tomb. It's actually a Rock Tomb. We tank the Rock Tomb. This time the opponent unable to catch the Rage Fist. Rage Fist, debuffed, still does big damage. We're able to counter farm down. The opponent sends back out Stun Fist. We're able to reach the Rage Fist. This is actually neutral. We got debuffed, vamped up, so it's back regular, but it actually forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and Metang once again is tasked with closing the show. We fire off the first Psyshock. Psyshock gets the opponent low. I think we actually Fury Cutter farm down. The opponent isn't doubled up. They look to reach the next Mud Bomb, unable to get there. We Fury Cutter farm down and take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Lauron in the lead position. The opponent says no thank you, save switch into Shadow Sizzle. That is a crazy save switch in a meta where Talonflame is running around. We're just going to shield, counter farm down, but of course the opponent get the boost. I still commit to the counter farm down regardless, able to get it, but lose almost all my HP. Back out comes Lauron. We're going to fire off the Rage Fist. It doesn't do too much, and of course we can just send out Metang here, as Metang is going to fully wall the energy. I said at the end of MLG's battles that I'm pretty terrible with using a one-turn move. Of course, Metal Sound is a new move that we haven't seen too much, and this animation is definitely something I'm going to have to get used to. Well, potentially anyway. I don't really think Metal Sound is going to rise up in meta relevance. I don't think any of the Metal Sound users are particularly good, if I'm being honest. I'm going to try some out. If people submit it, of course I'll try it. But are they meta relevant? I don't think so. But like with Metang, feel free to prove me wrong. The opponent had the Denny in the back. We show him Arbok, and the opponent runs for the hills. Heading into the final battle of today's video, we see the Battle of Brothers. As they're a regular Primate, we can tank one Rage Fist. It does hurt, but they never ever Karate Chop farm me down. I'm going to fire off this Rage Fist. Rage Fist lightly force a Protect Shield. I could shield and farm down, but we're already quite low, so I'm just going to save Annihilate and catch the boosted Rage Fist onto Arbok. The opponent now really should pivot out. I don't think they're reaching another move. The opponent stays in, look to reach the boosted Rage Fist. They don't get there, and Arbok gets a very nice energy lead. Out comes Clodsire. This Dark Pulse isn't going to do much, but potentially puts them in a range where one Psyshock will remove them from the field of play. In the moment, I was actually worried the opponent could potentially Poison Sting farm me down. I would have been a spot of bother. They actually opt to throw the Stone Edge as soon as they get it, and Metang now looks to close the show. Metang hits the field of play. The opponents stay in. They're actually going to bank some energy and then send out the Angry Alligator. Feraligatr going to be greeted with the Psyshock. Psyshock going to be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. We've still got 2, but we're going to save both. Catch him back onto Annihilate. A 2-shielded Metang is absolutely unbeatable in this scenario. Metang re-hits the field of play, throws the Psyshock. Feraligatr isn't even going to reach the next Hydro Cannon. Metang gets the full farm down. I actually believe they're one short of an Earthquake here. I invest a Protect Shield because sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry, and I know that no bait will be saving this opponent's fate as Metang going to once again close, beating not only Feraligatr but Clodsire too. GG's and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's video. I can honestly say I'm really pleased to announce that we've got a new meta-relevant Shadow Pokemon. I'll be honest, I definitely was Metang's biggest non-believer, but the combination of a good stat product, a monstrous defensive type-in, and access to spam one of the hardest hitting, cheapest psychic type moves in the game makes it pretty good in all neutral matchups. We didn't really see too much of Arbok. It's definitely a Pokemon I look to revisit later. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.